Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm John. And this episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're going to do something special. We're going to count down our 5 favorite horror comedies, and we have a special guest here with us, Craig Loydgren. He's a comedian and an actor. He's in Abornaml Attraction, which we discussed in episode 2, and he's got a few roles in Terrifier too. He's funny as hell, vulgar and rough, but completely approachable. You can rent his stand-up Married and Miserable on Prime, and we recommend you do so. Craig's going to spill his guts to us in an exclusive interview. All that and more today on High on Horror. Alright, man, so today we're going to smoke some Fatality. It's an indica. It's very skunky smelling. It's a diesel strain. It creeps up on you. It doesn't hit you right away, but when it does, it puts you in complete euphoria. It's mostly known for making you high as shit, more so than calming you down. But we're about to spark this up. What do you got going on for us in horror history? Check that shit out.
First here, this Fatality got is that Scorpion and Sub-Zero on the back here?
Indeed it is.
And Indica, you trying to put my ass to sleep? Anyway, up here in horror history.
This week in horror history.
Wes Craven would have turned 82 this week. What's your favorite Wes Craven film?
Wow, 82, man. What a shame. Favorite Wes Craven film. I know it's cliche, but I'm gonna say Nightmare. I definitely think the original Hills Have Eyes is right up there. I'll probably watch both of those tonight to, honor him.
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street's definitely the cliche answer. But I would counter that. It is a Freddy movie, but my favorite Nightmare is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I feel like it was the perfect Freddy movie.
I love New Nightmare as well. My favorite in the series, though, is Dream Warriors, but coincidentally enough, Wes Craven did play a part in that. He did write that script a bit, so I think that he co-wrote the script. It wasn't completely his script, but he was definitely involved in it.
So you saying that Freddy's Dead is not your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street?
I don't know whose favorite Nightmare on Elm Street that is.
Oh, I can think of somebody. That's Nicole's favorite, and I give her shit all the time. We were just talking about this today. We were talking about Wes Craven, and she was like, oh, isn't that the one where he has a daughter? And I'm like, yeah, it's terrible. She's like, that's my favorite.
Yeah, Nicole, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is John's fiance. And by the way, doesn't she likes the whole, Wicked Witch of the West thing? She gets that whole thing? Like, she thinks that's cool?
Oh, yeah, she thinks it's funny, but I think it's because she wants Freddy to be more funny than scary, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of, especially the later films, but, yeah, New Nightmare definitely brings the series back and ends it on a proper note. I mean, I guess we'll just forget the remake even fucking happened.
I try to. I definitely try to forget. Besides that, though, I'd have to say Last House on the Left. That I know a lot of people might go with Scream for the other ones, but the first time I saw Last House on the Left, as I've said before, that movie really stuck with me.
Yeah, The Last House on the Left, I mean, it's just legendary. He's done so many legendary films. It's really crazy to go back and look through his filmography. I mean, there's even films of his that aren't really, how dare I say, aren't that good, but I still love, like Shocker. That movie's just 80s, or early 90s, just balls to the wall, just fucking metal and rock and just, I don't know, it's just pure craziness. Wes Craven has a wide filmography. Some movies are, like, crazy good, like, Deadly Blessing. And then you have, other movies, that like Scream 2 or 3, but I love all of his stuff, man.
Yeah, with Scream, I did not care for 2 and 3. I haven't seen 4, and I've been told 4 is pretty good, but I avoided that because of not liking 2 and 3 that much. But another Wes Craven film I think that's severely underrated, and it has a great cast, is Red Eye.
Oh, yeah, I do like Red Eye as well.
Yeah, I saw Red Eye on chance. I was trying to see Wedding Crashers, actually, for a second time with a friend, that it was sold out, and I was like, we're here, let's pick a movie. I saw Red Eye, and I'm like, oh, it's the chick from Wedding Crashers. But I mean, yeah, it's Rachel McAdams, Cillian Murphy, and I mean the majority of it takes place on an airplane. But it's a great movie. Cillian Murphy is great as the villain in it. But moving on for our other horror history, it is the 19th anniversary of the 2002 movie Signs.
Oh yeah, man. As a whole, I'm a big fan of Signs. I love alien movies. Well, the good ones anyway. And I think a lot of things with Signs are done right. It's masterclass suspense, and there's a few really good parts that really hit you visually and viscerally. Two parts, especially for me, that make me, pretty much jump out of my seat every time I see it, even though I know what's coming. Um, Everyone always talks about it, but the alien at the birthday party on the news, like when the news is showing that birthday party footage, I don't care who you are. If you say that didn't scare the shit out of you, you're full of shit. And that scene where Mel Gibson is looking under the door with the knife and the hand comes out and reaches at him, that just chills me to my core, man. The movie gets a bit stale and slow at parts, but the payoff is rewarding, and there's a lot of memorable things about this movie. It's a well done alien movie.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I thought it was well paced. I like how the aliens, for the most part of the movie, remained in the shadows, and I feel like it made them creepier, in my opinion. When they're finally revealed, I mean, the CGI is almost 20 years old, so it doesn't hold up as good, but it's not terrible. Mel Gibson, I know he's controversial, but looking at just his acting, it's wonderfully done. And the crop circles, I learned, were not CGI, and they were actually done for the movie.
Yeah, I actually heard that M. Night Shyamalan is pretty authentic when it comes to stuff like that. Weren't you telling me something about Mark Ruffalo? You had mentioned Mark Ruffalo or something earlier.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo originally was in the role that Joaquin Phoenix had, but he had to drop out of the film due to a brain tumor. It was later found out the brain tumor was benign. But I think that Joaquin Phoenix, in the end, would have done a better job than Mark Ruffalo would have did. Not saying Mark Ruffalo's a bad actor, but I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is perfect for those weird kind of roles, more so than Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I had no idea about Mark Ruffalo having the role originally or going to be in the part, but I can't see it otherwise. I mean, nothing against Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, Joaquin kind of took over as like that Daniel Day-Lewis actor as far as I'm concerned. He can kind of just play any weird role, and he just kind of like nails the head on the head a little too perfectly every time. Nothing against Mark Ruffalo, but yeah, I gotta think any role with Joaquin Phoenix, Joaquin would probably win out.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Joaquin since I seen him in Gladiator playing Commodus. And M. Night Shyamalan also cited The Birds, Night of the Living Dead, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers as influences for the film. I feel like I definitely can see Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Birds to an extent, and I guess Night of the Living Dead I see it a little bit. I guess I would take them being trapped in the house and boarding up the house. But I can definitely see all three of those in the film.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead, I'm guessing, is more in tone and structure than really in like, pacing or in regards to like the action that goes down. I think I see Night of the Living Dead in regards to, the structure of the story, but I don't really see anything else. But yeah, the other ones I could see.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
I'll start with our first question. Dawn from Cherry Hill, New Jersey asks, what did you guys think of the Halloween Kills trailer? The new Candyman trailer has more views. Which are you looking forward to more? Good question, Dawn. I fucking love Candyman. That's absolutely one of my favorites, but I'm a Halloween guy. Especially after what they did with Halloween 2018, I'm in. Halloween Kills, the trailer looks incredible. I'm a little worried that they showed a bit much. For those of you listening, there's quite a bit of kills and plot points that are given away in the new trailer. It's very spoiler heavy, but I can't wait. James Jude Courtney is killing it as Michael, pun intended. But Candyman looks, a lot more like it's a lot more sophisticated of a film, as you'd expect. It's thicker with story. It's not a stalk and slash type of film, at least not as much as Halloween is anyway. I see people complaining that the Candyman mythology is now grounded in police brutality, and they don't like that twist, but I like that. I don't mind that. Candyman was a victim of slavery and abuse back in the day, and police brutality is the modern issue. So if you're going to make it modern, why not be authentic? I also like how Anthony McCoy is the son of the little boy that Helen saves in the original film. I really like how they tied that in. I'll see them both, and I hope that they're both good, but I'm seeing Halloween Kills opening night. John, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely see Halloween opening night. I mean, damn, just fucking help me next time when you say some people don't like about changing the mythology. Yeah, I would say I don't have a problem with them updating it, but I'm just somebody that once there's an established backstory, I like to stick with that backstory. I would agree it does look more sophisticated. Like I said, the change in the origin is really seemed like my only concern from the trailer. Where the one concern I had from the Halloween trailer was where Laurie was saying the more that he kills, the more he transcends. I really hope that's maybe just kind of some delirious thought from her. I know they're not going to go the route of Thorne, but I don't want Michael to become. I mean, I guess he is kind of supernatural, escaping the fire, but there's still believability to it. It's more grounded than other slasher films. I would think that with Candyman, I mean, we just had a Halloween movie recently, so I feel like that's probably why it's out doing Halloween in the trailers.
Agreed, that's what I think too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll see Halloween opening night, but I mean, I went and saw Halloween Resurrection opening weekend, so I mean, if there's a Halloween movie, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, and what you're saying about Michael transcending, I heard that line as well, and that also did cause a bit of concern for me. My thing was, one of the things that I kind of had a little bit of a problem was with 2018 Michael, was that it seemed like they constantly humanized him. Whereas, like in the original film, Dr. Loomis was talking about how he's pure evil, pure evil. So it's my hope that with Laurie saying that about the transcending, that they're going more into like dehumanizing him and making him more evil again. But I really hope that they don't fucking go the Thorne route.
Yeah, I don't think they'll exactly go with the Thorne route, but yeah, like I said, that's my only concern. But other than that, I thought the trailer looked amazing. Like you said, I feel like it gave away some kills and plot points, and some of those kills are pretty brutal that they had in the trailer. And moving on to our second question here, it is from Martin from Henderson, Texas. And he just wanted to know about some good first date horror movies. So for me, I feel like some of the classic slashers are always a good choice, like A Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. They're nothing too over the top gore-wise. Scream's a good choice as well, kind of the same as with Nightmare and Halloween. And Cabin in the Woods, I think, is another good one. And like Scream, I feel like it has that right amount of comedy in the movie. If you're looking for something maybe a little more on the scary side, you could go with a film like The Conjuring's a good choice. And I mean, if you want to find out if they have freak, I mean, you could always go with Hellraiser.
I'm gonna go with the 2009 horror comedy The Loved Ones. It's a love story, but it's absolutely fucking twisted, both in brutality, but also in dark humor. It's about a girl who kidnaps this guy who she wants to take to prom, but he blows her off. So she, kidnaps him and tortures him and tries to make him love her. It's not too heavy to watch due to the humor, and I think it's a good medium of horror and laughter and love story. I've got a dark sense of humor, so hopefully you do too, Martin. Also, try Psychos in Love. I fucking hate grapes. When you watch the movie, you'll get that. Check out Psychos in Love. Non-horror films that I would include, I would definitely include True Romance and The Crow. Those are two good films that I would recommend to watch, for a horror movie to watch on a date or a first date. But the thing is, everybody likes to laugh, so I would never recommend jumping right into like the deep shit, especially if it's a first date. You don't want to jump in with something, so definitely make sure you have a little bit of humor in there. Yeah.
Well, what about a Serbian film? Would you recommend that, or maybe Salo?
I was gonna say Salo, yeah, or no, let's go the I Spit on Your Grave route. That's a good winner.
Or maybe blood sucking freaks.
Or maybe we'll just go full-blown necromantic. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think we should probably stop there. But all you listeners out there, if you have a question for us, reach out via Instagram, Facebook at High on Horror 420 or email at highonhorror420@gmail.com. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter if you want the most up-to-date information on the podcast. And now I think it's time to go into our discussion of today's topic, our top 5 horror comedies. For our 5 favorite horror comedies, Drew and I are going to take turns counting down from 5 all the way up to our favorite horror comedy at number 1. And I'll get us started here. At number 5 for me is Fright Night. It's my favorite vampire movie. I remember watching this with my dad as a kid. Hell, it might have been on Monster Vision that I saw it, but he sold me on watching it because Amanda Beers from Married with Children was in it. But it's such a fun movie. A vampire moves in next door and no one believes poor Charlie. Chris Sarandon as the vampire Jerry Dandridge is just such a prick throughout the movie. Now, we wouldn't want to wake your mother, would we, Charlie? Then I'd have to kill her too, right? Roddy McDowall is so good as the reluctant TV host Peter Vincent. The Fright Night theme is done by the J. Giles Band, a great 80s movie to just kick back and relax.
I love Fright Night, man. Great choice. We're gonna have to do a vampire episode because now you got me thinking about like Near Dark and shit. So we're gonna have to do a whole other episode on that. My number 5 horror comedy is a tasty little indie gem called Dead and Breakfast from 2004. It's about a group of friends on their way to a wedding. And they stop for the night at a bed and breakfast. And just after a few hours of being at this bed and breakfast, shit starts to unfold. It turns out that the owner of the bed and breakfast, Mr. Wise, played by David Carradine, had made a curse on the body of his dead child. And what unfolds is a zombie movie with so many laughs that I still miss dialogue from laughing every time that I fucking watch it. There's a lot of gore, a fucking ton of it. And there's a hilarious musical piece in there where zombies all dance like Thriller. Zach Selwyn is in it, doing a little musical breaks in between scenes. It's really cool. This movie doesn't get enough love at all. It's got a great cast. Jeremy Sisto from Clueless and May is in it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in it as the sheriff, and he's funny as shit. It's really a shame that we don't get to see him do more comedy. Diedrich Bader from the Drew Carey Show and Napoleon Dynamite is in it. Gina Phillips from Jeepers Creepers is in it, and more. I highly recommend it if you want to laugh.
At number 4, Death is Just the Beginning, I have Reanimator. Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs, arrives in New England after the horrific incident at the Institute of Medicine in Switzerland. He continues his work to, you guessed it, reanimate bodies, except they don't come back quite the same. It's based on a Lovecraft, well, it is a Lovecraft story, so that's always a plus in my book. Jeffrey Combs has so many great lines. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow. And after Dan Kane talks to him after he found his cat dead in the refrigerator, he said you could call, you could write a note, to which Herbert West responds, I was busy pushing bodies around, as you well know, and what would a note say, Dan? Cat dead, details later? It's also an early movie in the career of the wonderful Barbara Crampton. The runtime is only 87 minutes, which honestly I think is a perfect runtime for the movie.
My number 4 is Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive from 1992 by Lord of the Rings' Peter Jackson. This movie literally evokes every emotion from you. I've seen that happen firsthand. I watched the film for the first time with a few friends who had not seen it prior, and I told them nothing about it other than the fact that it's funny and I love it. And I watched as they were gagging and retching. I swear to God, they were gagging and retching and covering their mouths. And then I watched as they were sitting forward laughing from their bellies. There's this rat monkey, this Sumerian rat monkey that starts this whole zombie disease. And that thing creeped me out. It creeped them out. They were scared of it. Basically what happens is it's about this story. This weirdo Lionel has a crush on this girl, Paquita. and Lionel's mother does not like him paying attention to any other woman but her. So his mother goes to this zoo and she gets bitten by this rat monkey that essentially causes her to start falling apart. It's like Body Melt meets Evil Dead 2. The mother infects people. Lionel has to clean up everyone's mess, and then finally there's an epic showdown with a room of zombies and Lionel with a lawnmower. Absolutely insane. The movie just has so much rewatchability that it's unfair to other movies like it. It's just so fucking gory.
Well, for number 3, I'm finally getting out of the 80s, and number 3 for me is Zombieland. I just love Zombieland. It's perfect to throw on at any time. It even makes a great background movie if you just need to throw on something in the background. The movie's 4 actors have all been nominated for an Academy Award. Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Abigail Breslin, and the lone winner, Emma Stone. Eisenberg, who plays Columbus, which is where he's headed, leaves his college in Texas to try to find his parents in Ohio in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. He meets other wanderers along the way, including Woody Harrelson, who plays Tallahassee and steals the show. My mama always told me someday I'd be good at something. Who'd have guessed that something be zombie killing? The scene when he drives by and smacks the zombie with the door of the SUV gets me every damn time, and I just can't stop laughing. There's a great cameo from another celebrity that if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's action-packed, it has so many awesome zombie kills, and the movie gave us rules like the double tap, cardio, and Ziploc bags.
Well, my number 3 is, fuck-a-doodle-doo. Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. It has to be on the list no matter what. There's no way around it. No way it couldn't make it on the list. What's not to love about Shaun of the Dead? That's one that, after just one watch, you'll have several lines memorized. I mean, you got red on you. He's got an arm off. Batman soundtrack, throw it. I mean, it's like you could just you could just keep going. There's absolutely nothing to dislike, in my opinion. Sean loses the love interest of his life, Liz, right before a zombie breakout occurs. After the breakout, Sean and his half-witted stoner friend Ed go on a mission to save Liz and hide out at their favorite bar and hope this shit just blows over. It's pure brilliance on screen. Yeah, absolutely nothing to dislike about it. Like I said, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are like peanut butter and chocolate. There's homages to Romero. It's all there. I love that movie.
At number 2, I have Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. The next great slasher, Leslie Vernon, is getting a documentary done about him. The film crew follows him around and learns his methods. This movie is amazing. There's so many great nods to other films such as Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Black Christmas, The Shining, and more. I enjoyed watching Robert Englund play basically the role of Dr. Loomis from Halloween. I mean, he was dressed basically identical to him. Kane Hodder has a great cameo in it as well. Nathan Basil does such a great job of balancing between menacing slasher and comedy. Scott Wilson, who most of you might know as Herschel from The Walking Dead, plays the role of Leslie's mentor, Eugene, and he nails it. So many funny lines in this movie. Jamie, who's Eugene's wife, says, "I'll tell you, never hang out with a virgin. You got a virgin in your crew, either get someone in her pants or get the hell away." Eugene said, "Run like a motherfucker and don't stop till the sun comes up." And then Leslie, when he's training, tells the documentary crew, "You wouldn't believe the amount of cardio I have to do." This mockumentary is so well done. The twist ending's great. Check it out.
I'm glad that you gave Leslie Vernon some recognition. That movie does not get recognized enough, man. My number 2 is definitely The Burbs from 1989. Director Joe Dante of Gremlins and The Howling fame, really shows a sense of humor in this film. Some people try to say that this isn't a horror film, that it's not, that it's, the people that say that are full of shit. It is a dark comedy, but it's also very much a horror film. There's no way around it. If you say it's not a horror film, you're the same type of person that calls The Exorcist a drama. So get out of here. The Burbs is about a group of guys who have nothing better to do but gossip like women. That's the joke, These guys have nothing to do all day, and the roles are reversed. They're the ones snooping and gossiping and starting drama. Their new neighbors, the Klopeks, are shady as shit, and their house emits loud noises at night. Ray, played by Tom Hanks, leads his friends into an investigation of their neighbors, and it gets the whole neighborhood watching. I can never not laugh at this movie. It's funny, and it's very fucking bone structure. It's a fantastic film on its own. It's a great comedy. I love it to fucking pieces. The cast, like I said, Tom Hanks, Rick Ducommun, Corey Feldman, Carrie Fisher's in it, Bruce Dern, Courtney Gaines. 10 out of 10 for this one, man. I mean, how can you not like a movie with quotes like "smells like they're cooking a goddamn cat over there," and I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody drive their garbage down the street and bang the hell out of it with a stick. I've never seen that. And let's not forget, I want to kill everyone. Satan is good. Satan is our pal. I mean, there's absolutely fucking nothing to not like about it.
And for my number one movie, Drew already covered a majority of it at number 3. My number 1 is Shaun of the Dead. I love anything Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are in together. It's a fun zombie movie. Like I said, Drew kind of really covered most of it here. So, I mean, I guess all I could say is we'll take Pete's car, go round Mom's, go in, deal with Philip. Sorry, Philip. Grab Mom, go to Liz's, pick her up, bring her back here, have a cup of tea, and wait for this whole thing to blow over.
All right, well, my number 1 is Evil Dead 2. Hands down, the most batshit, over the top, and perfectly acted horror comedy ever made. When this movie gets scary, it's actually scary, but then it's laugh out loud, Three Stooges humor as well. The gore is ridiculous and incredible. The movie birthed Ash's groovy line with perfect delivery, as always, by Bruce Campbell. This movie makes me laugh more and harder than any other horror comedy when I watch it. That's 100% true statement. It's also the only one to truly be a roller coaster ride. Of all the films that I've mentioned in my top 5, The Evil Dead 2 is by far the only real roller coaster ride of those films. I'm sure everyone listening has seen it, but if you haven't, no summary that I can give you will prepare you. Trust me. You need to see that movie yesterday if you haven't already. I much prefer it to the first film, but I do love the shit out of the first film too. But Evil Dead 2 really came into its own.
Yeah, I love Evil Dead 2. And I mean, it gave us groovy, and it also gave us swallow this. Now it's time for Burn and Learn, where Drew and I give you facts on the main topic of today's show. So we're going to give you some facts on our top 5 favorite horror comedy.
Ooh.
Burn and learn.
Number 5, Fright Night. It was Chris Sarandon's idea to have Jerry eating apples throughout the film. While researching vampire lore, Chris Sarandon looked at information about bats and concluded that Jerry had a lot of fruit bat in his DNA. Because of the horrible experience he had making The Sentinel, Chris Sarandon was apprehensive about taking a role in another horror movie. Meanwhile, writer Tom Holland decided to direct Fright Night himself because he was so disgusted by the film that had been made from his last screenplay, Scream for Help. Both movies were directed by Michael Winner.
My number 5, Dead and Breakfast. Dead and Breakfast received an NC-17 rating and had to be cut to get an R rating. I told you this movie's fucking gory as shit. Also, Johnny, played by Oz Perkins, is Anthony Perkins' son of Psycho. Oz became a film director and directed The Blackcoat's Daughter and Gretel and Hansel from 2020.
Number 4, Reanimator. The woman Dan is seen attempting to resuscitate at the beginning of the film was a dildo enthusiast who was known to hide dildos with the fake corpses in the morgue set. The brains in the severed head were made up of steer meat byproducts, ground beef, and fake blood, and when they shot the scene in the autopsy room with the severed head being thrown out the door and smashed onto the hallway wall, the crew were all behind the cameras with garbage bags over their clothes because no one knew just how much the brains would splatter.
Okay, my number 4, Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive. 30 liters of fake blood. 30 liters of fake blood was used during the final scene. Also, add to that, during the lawnmower scene, the blood was being pumped out at 5 gallons per second.
Number 3, Zombieland. Patrick Swayze was offered a cameo role as a zombie before his cancer diagnosis. His scene would have parodied other Swayze movies like Ghost and Dirty Dancing. Zombie cameo roles were also offered to Joe Pesci, Mark Hamill, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Kevin Bacon, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Matthew McConaughey. Woody Harrelson was arrested for marijuana possession during filming, which delayed shooting for a day. Those bastards.
Shaun of the Dead, my number 3. If you look in the phone book, you'll see that there's a homage to Lucio Fulci, the Italian horror director who gave us Zombie Flesh Eaters. In the phone book, you'll see that it says Fulci's Restaurant, the place that does all the fish, which is funny because Liz tells Shaun that she wants to go to the place that does all the fish. If you're not paying attention, you'll never get that that's the actual name of the restaurant. Also, all of the news reporters that you see in the film are really news reporters playing themselves.
Number 2, Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. There are 2 connections to Black Christmas from 1974. Although never stated directly, it was intended that Eugene is an older Billy from Black Christmas. When Leslie's real last name is revealed to be Mancuso, this could be a nod to Nick Mancuso, the uncredited actor who portrayed Billy in the original 1974 Black Christmas. At the beginning, Taylor is standing in front of the Red Rabbit pub. This is a reference to the Red Rabbit matchbook found by Dr. Loomis in the 1978 Halloween.
My number 2, The Burbs. The scene where Tom Hanks throws himself onto the stretcher at the end of the movie was improvised on the scene by Tom Hanks. Absolutely brilliant. And here's a little cool fact. The dog Queenie, owned by Walter in the film, also plays Precious in The Silence of the Lambs.
And my number 1, Shaun of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead director George A. Romero was given a private viewing of this movie near his house in Florida. During the scene in which Ed, played by Nick Frost, yells into the phone, "We're coming to get you, Barbara," Romero was oblivious to the fact it was a direct lift from his movie, Night of the Living Dead, and only found out later after a phone conversation with Edgar Wright. And in March of 2011, the movie was voted by BBC Radio 1 and BBC Radio 1 Extra listeners as their second favorite movie of all time behind The Shawshank Redemption.
All right, my number 1, Evil Dead 2. If you watch the scene where Henrietta is flying in the living room, you can see that sweat is pouring out of her ear. Actor Ted Raimi, who played the part, sweat such an unhealthy amount in that costume, but goddamn, it paid off. What a fantastic job. Lastly, in order to avoid an X rating, they decided to make the blood different colors. The film still ended up getting an X rating, and they ended up releasing it unrated under Rosebud Productions. However, Rosebud wasn't a real establishment. Producer and funder Dino De Laurentiis, who was the producer and funder, couldn't release an unrated movie through his own company, so he made up Rosebud to release Evil Dead 2.
Now it's time to get into our interview with comedian and actor Craig Loydgren.
Hailing from New York, Craig Loydgren is branded the Tasmanian Devil of Comedy. Due to his complete likability and aggressive style of comedy, he electrifies audiences wherever he goes. His philosophy on marriage is unparalleled, and he toured with the heavyweights of comedy, the nomads of comedy, and Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live. You can catch him on the East Coast, where he performs at clubs like the New York Comedy Club, the Broadwich and Greenwich Village Comedy Clubs, and the Dangerfields. Welcome, Craig. Thank you for being on High on Horror.
Thank you, man. It was weird listening to my bio being read to me. It's so odd. Sounds like I think I need to update that.
I was reading it off your website, tried to reword it, and I was like, it's kind of worded pretty well, so.
Yeah, well, no, all good, all good.
So tell us what's new with you, dude. Any new projects? Any new comedy shows? How does it feel that COVID restrictions are being lifted?
You know what? COVID only slowed us down. I mean, it did slow us down. It stopped us for a couple of months. But as soon as it could happen, back last June already, it's been a year. It's been a year and a couple of weeks. My first time back on stage was actually the back of a pickup truck. We were doing comedy out of pickup trucks, and everybody sat in their cars, and we had AM receivers. And sometimes we just had speakers, and people would sit in their cars, on their cars, and in parking lots. Then we got a little more sophisticated and started using AM and FM transmitters. So people just chill in their cars. They didn't even get out of their cars. They would go to whatever radio station we were transmitting on, and we were on the back of a truck, man. I did it on the back of pickup trucks, back of dump trucks, picnic tables. We just like we did it. We were doing it, man. As soon as we could, we were out there. My buddies from AC Jokes, which is Atlantic City, the Tropicana, which I'm going to be at this Thursday. But by the time this airs, I'll be there again. I go down there like once a month. So Tropicana, Atlantic City, AC Jokes. Those guys are really cool. But they're the guys that kind of started it. They were doing it in the back of a pickup truck, and my first show back was with Jim Florentine, like that metal show. The guy, Don Jameson and Jim Florentine. It was down in Atlantic City with those guys. It was awesome. It was awesome. We had like 50 cars, and so we were doing it. We were doing it through the COVID, and then I work at a haunted house. I have like I'm assistant caretaker at a haunted house, and we did through there all last summer. We did music, comedy, and movies. So every weekend we did a live band. Everybody pull in. You'd come in on F. That was FM. That even sounded crisp, really crisp. We would come in and 107.3. You put it on. Everybody hangs out in their car. They got a live band doing music for like 40 minutes. Then about 45, 50 minutes of comedy, and then we showed horror movies. We did we did Terrifier. We had the whole cast and crew at Terrifier. We had all the Fuzz and the Lens guys there. We had Damien Leone there. We had David there. David Howard Thornton. All Mike Levy and Jason Levy and Steve Delasala. Everybody, George, like all the whole everybody who was a part of Terrifier was there. It was pretty cool.
How do you think the challenges of doing the drive-in comedy were?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Versus doing it in front of a live audience.
Absolutely, that's what it was. It was drive-in comedy. That's exactly what it was. And then it became a drive-in movie too. And we, like I said, the AC Jokes guys started it. Then I did it with my guys up here at the Kreischer Mansion. It's a really cool haunted house, a historical house on Staten Island that I just left. I was just there. We just did a concert. I was just hanging out with Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers for a few hours, which was really pretty cool. Yeah, he came up to see his a family member in one of the bands, and we were like, "Dude, we've been trying to get you here for forever." And then he's coming back. It's cool. We exchanged information. He's going to come back and give him a private tour of the place. Pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I had that, and I'm a big heavy metal guy. Look at you guys are heavy metal guys, right? Obviously, right? You look like you should be, like you better be. Yeah. I don't think fucking you look a little like Pavarotti. It doesn't mean you fucking should be listening to him. Mate, well, I mean, I have a thousand favorite bands, and as I get older, my musical, I'm very eclectic. With I like everything from the Beatles, the Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and I still love Maiden, Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer. I have the Knotman. That's what I was going with. I got the Knotman. You see this? That is Anthrax. That's the Knotman from the band Anthrax. I got that tattoo in April of 1988. This tattoo is 33 years old. It's old enough to fucking drink, vote, retire almost at this point. But like had I known, I do a joke. I go, had I known I was gonna look like that 33 years later, I would have got a fucking tattoo of Brad Pitt on my arm. But no, I didn't do that. Brad Pitt and a big dick, just right there. I'd be Brad Pitt. That's it. Nope, you got this angry little bald guy. That's what I got. But the other band member, we were talking about Anthrax. There was another band up there, and we were talking about Anthrax. And I said, dude, I was a diehard Anthrax fan. I showed him the tattoo. He goes, oh, I'm really good friends with Charlie, the drummer from Anthrax. He goes, well, let's take a picture. He took a picture and texted him, and Charlie immediately texts back saying, like, no way, that's awesome. So, like, it was just a good day. Like, I just left. I was hanging out with Brian Q, listening to good music. I emceed the day, so, running around having a good time with it. And, ended out with one of my childhood favorite bands, teenage favorite bands. The guy just seen a picture of my tattoo 33 years later. So that was pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, about the drive-in comedy thing. I had saw a post that you made on Instagram where I was actually like, holy shit, because the first thing that I saw was you just sweating your balls off like usual, but you were standing on the back of a truck, and I was like, that's original as hell. Like, you guys like are bringing the comedy to the people, and I was like, that's badass. And like, I know you work hard, for a living, so to see you out there on your free time still sweating your balls off and to have that much energy, I was like, yo, that's pretty freaking cool, man. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up about the drive-in comedy thing, because I forgot to bring that up, and that's a really cool thing, man.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and it all catapulted. Like, we mixed comedy with movies, especially, like I said, the AC guys, AC Jokes. They're the ones that started it, and then we just kind of ran with it. But when we did it at the mansion, like, we did we took it to that level of movies as well. Like we just put it all together. Music, comedy, and movies. And we showed nothing but horror movies, which was awesome. The Shining. We did The Shining. We did Abnormal Attraction. We did Terrifier. The original Exorcist. Night of the Living Dead. It was awesome. It was awesome.
What's your favorite horror movie?
There were other ones I just can't remember right now. Oh, Friday the 13th. I'm asked that question a lot. I so don't have one. I have so many. The Thing is an incredible movie. Like, say, like if you want to do like again, I'm old school. American Werewolf in London, one of the most incredible werewolf movies of all times. Dawn of the Dead, one of my favorite zombie movies of all times. The Thing, like one of my favorite like monster horror movies. That Kurt Russell, like that movie's just incredible. It's one of my favorite movies. But I also love the newer movies. I mean, Terrifier is an incredible like rebirth of an old crazy movie. The first Saw movie was incredible. But I'm like old school. I like a lot of the older stuff. I just like you. I look at behind you, House. The movie House is great, man. That movie was the first one. That movie was awesome. I seen that in the movies. I'm like older. I seen that as a teenager. But and I love the old Evil Dead movies, Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre is Part 2. That's the best one, man. Bubba's got a girlfriend. He's been playing with her. She's got red face. That's the best one, man. It was campy. It was kind of silly and corny. But Dennis Hopper, that movie was just awesome. And then they remade it 72 times. There's so many Texas Chainsaw Massacres out there now, and a few of the newer ones were good. They weren't bad. But like my girl, the girl I'm dating, she's a maniac for all like horror movies.
Yeah, actually, I'm a big fan of the Jessica Biel remake. That remake was badass.
That was the one with is that the Matthew McConaughey one?
No, that was Part 4 with Renee Zellweger.
All right. Yeah, see, it's like, which one was it? Was it this one? Was it that one? Was it the one with the guy from Supernatural? Which one was it? But he did the remake of Friday the 13th. What's his name? Jared Galecki.
Okay, so tell us. You were just mentioning, with the drive-in comedy about this haunted mansion that you work for. Why don't you tell us about that? Tell us about your ghost expeditions. Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I work at this house called, I'm a plumber by trade, but I've been doing it for 30-something years. I'm a comic for 21 years, messing around with acting on and off for 21 years, probably 25 years, really. But I work also, too. I help my friend of mine is the caretaker of this house, the Kreischer Mansion. So I've been helping him for about 4.5 years now as like an assistant. So it started out just doing things. We were doing concerts up there, music, and it just grew. We do a haunted mansion now. We have, thousands of people coming through for the season for the haunted house that we do. We have a hayride, and even though it's Staten Island, it's New York, it's an old property. We have 5.5 acres, so we have a windy, cool hayride and everything else. And then I started messing around with, because the spirits are so heavy there, and people were having problems. And I always loved ghost shows and everything else. And I used to mess around with my friends. Would go to these haunted places and try to record stuff. But the hanging out at the mansion brought it to the next level. Started buying equipment, started getting a team together, putting stuff together. We would actually go out to that location and all the time and talk to the spirits. Communicated with the guy who built it. His name is Balthazar Kreischer. He died in 1887. I have his voice. I have him talking. We asked him if it was him in a picture that we had. He's like, it was me. Like I have all the stuff. I have audio. I have video. We have pictures. We have orbs. We have crazy, crazy stuff. And not just from there. That kind of catapulted me and my boy Rich Carucci, another really funny comic. We pitched, and we were trying to sell a show called Roast a Ghost that we're still working on it. But that's our team name. We're RTG Paranormal, Roast a Ghost Paranormal, and we go to locations with a different like comic each week, or like the show would be, or even a celebrity, actors and stuff. And we would we go and we do an actual haunt investigation, And then at the witching hour, we roast the ghost. We roast whatever information we have on the place, on the spirits that are supposed to be there, on the place itself, and we roast it and we record everything and see what we get. I had spirits tell me to shut up. I had them tell me I'm funny, call me an ass. You know, like it's funny. We get pretty cool responses.
That sounds amazing.
Dude, it's so cool. It's so cool. And everywhere we did it, we have an empath. Like I have a whole team put together, and
How would you? Oh, I'm sorry, Craig. How would you like? How would you like feeling like in the future if maybe like this October or something? What if High on Horror joined you for some sort of ghost hunt? Would you have us? Would you smoke with us?
oh my God, absolutely! If you guys want to come out and do a carte blanche, man, you want to go, you can come out and go on a ghost hunt with us. Absolutely. And it's fun, man. And come out, you can record it, you can do a special episode if you want, and come see what we do. You have a blast. You'll laugh your ass off, but you'll leave a believer. Like everywhere we go, I get just amazing, incredible responses. I have another Instagram page, and I've been so busy. It's so hard to wear so many different hats. I have an Instagram page that I just started a couple months ago. I have to keep putting to it, but it's RTG Paranormal. So if you want to go check it out, RTG Roast the Ghost Paranormal. I have a whole bunch of cool little video clips of us communicating. My favorite device I use is the SB7 Spirit Box. It's the one that rapidly shoots through radio frequencies, so you get that fit sound, and it creates white noise. And let me tell you, the shit that I get talking to spirits, I get intelligent responses. Some people don't believe it, and if you want to be a skeptic, fine. It's one of those life lessons. You have to live it. You have to experience it. Once you experience, like talking to a spirit or getting an intelligent response, you asking a question and it fucking answering you, it'll make you a believer. Or when you see shadows move or you feel the weight on your chest, you have to experience that shit. If you don't experience it, I was a skeptic until I was a believer. So like most people, and I was a skeptic for many years. I lived in a house years ago that my kids were little guys thrown out of bed. My kids swore my daughter swore she was playing with the man with the red eyes in the closet. And I was in my early 20s, mid 20s. I have to live in the house. I was like, go to bed. You're making this up, I look back on the house. It was a scary friggin' house. It was really pretty scary. And I worked at a hospital as a maintenance. I told you I was a plumber. I was a maintenance guy in a hospital. And that was my first experience where a spirit walked right in front of me, stopped, looked right at me, and took off the direction it came. And like I seen the whole thing. It didn't have legs, didn't go all the way down. The hands didn't go all the way down. It was a gray mass, but you could clearly see his hands moving. He stopped. He was walking this way and he turned and looked right at me and fucking turned around and shot back the way he came. And I start moving my hands and shit, my feet looking for my shadow. And my shadow was like right here to the left of me. This guy was like 10 feet this way. My shadow was right here. I was like, oh man, I was hoping my shadow was going to go in that direction. So it might've just been me. And then I was like, I seen you. And that was my first where I really, because I seen it. It walked right in front of me and ran. That was the first thing that really made me a believer. And then I look back in my youth, I had a few experiences, but I kind of blocked them out. But yeah, if you guys want to come and join us, it's badass. And we have a blast. We laugh and we all smoke. Then I can smoke with you. I just can't smoke in here. Like I said, I got my nerds right here. I can do a little edibles. I got my pipe just out of reach. I got some Bruce Banner. We've been smoking some Bruce Banner. I got Bruce Banner and wedding cake is my flavors of the week. And let me tell you, when you smoke Bruce Banner, you want to smash. No, yeah, it's you don't turn into the Hulk. I sit on the couch and turn into a bulk. I'm just sitting there all more like a lump on a fucking log. I so didn't want to do anything for the last 3 days. I'm like, man, it might be the week.
And so you were in Abnormal Attraction and you played the role of Purple Pete. How did you end up getting that role?
It's funny. That's Fuzz and the Lens, man. Those guys are great. The Levy brothers and Steve Della Sala, Mike and Jason. They're awesome. I met those guys 8 years ago. They were trying to raise money for this movie that they wanted to make called Abnormal Attraction, and they hired me and two other comedians to do more than two. There was a few. There was probably 4 or 5 to do a fundraiser, a comedy night fundraiser to raise money to make this movie. So we did it, and then we just all clicked. And they were just really cool guys, and they really liked me. And then they were like, hey, you know what? We think, we got a part for you in the movie. We want you to be in the movie. I was like, cool. So then we did another fundraiser So we did a few, and then we did improv. It was actually the first time I did improv. I was not an improv guy, but they were. They were all Fuzz and the Lens were improv guys, and so we did that. It was just another great night, and we really just hit it off. And then we made, fast forward, we went on and I made Abnormal Attractions. I got to shoot with Tyler Mann for like 5 days, and he was really cool. He was the only one I really got to. Oh no, and Mike Buscemi, which is Steve Buscemi's brother, but he's in like Bench Warmers, and he's in a whole bunch of. A lot of times when you think it's Steve Buscemi in what do you call it movies? If you have in Adam Sandler movies, if you see and you're like, wow, that almost looks like Steve Buscemi. It's his brother Mike. He's in like 10 Sandler movies. Really cool dude. But he's an Abnormal Attraction too. Oh, you guys seen it, right? Did you see it?
Oh yeah, yep.
But yeah, so it was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and then they put all that together.
Well, how long did it take for you to get painted purple? How long was that makeup process?
Oh, the first day was probably about 4 hours because they painted me from the waist up. I was wearing like purple pants on the waist down, but from the waist up all the way over my head, and then they had to glue the horn and everything and all that stuff, and the wings, and the wings were really crude. They looked amazing, but they were a real heavy weight with a piece of like 2x4 on the back to try to keep it balanced to my back. So I couldn't move certain ways because they would flop. They would do like this. So I had to kind of not move certain ways. And you see how I sweat. There's a scene there's the one scene where I'm like picking at the kid in front of me's head. If you look close, you will just see the makeup dripping off of me because we were in this little box. They shot that in they rented a space in a olive oil factory in New Jersey, and it was just a big like warehouse. And they rented the space in the back, and they built this shed inside the warehouse. And then we had to be in the shed. It was like us all locked up in Camp Morningwood. It was like the place we were locked up together, and like it turned into a group meeting. But that thing was like 110 degrees. Everybody was sweating in there. But me and the other guy, Ari, that had makeup on, the Green guy, the Green Goblin, he's a good dude too, really funny guy. We were dripping, man. They at one point, I think, painted him with like real paint to keep it on for a while. Both of us. They had to like paint us with like more of real paint because it was just dripping off. But it was fun. I would do that. I could see where people get crazy. Like if you have to do heavy prosthetics and stuff, it could take like Dave. I have the opportunity to watch. I worked on Terrifier 2 a little bit, and watching Damien do the makeup. Like Damien's the director and the makeup guy, so he'll start, and he's the only one that could really do Dave's makeup, or Art the Clown's makeup. So he'll start Dave and then go and shoot a scene, and then come back and continue with Dave. So Dave's sitting around with like the cheeks on and all the white, but nothing else. And the poor guy, so he can breathe, he's got Q-tips in his nose, so the makeup and the sweat and shit don't, so he can breathe, and he has to pull them out and put them in. So he's sitting around for hours and Q-tips up his nose, waiting. Like I didn't have to go through all that shit. And then like Damien they finish another scene and come back and they do more makeup, and then go do another scene and then come back and do more makeup, and then it would be time for Dave's scenes, and he would just finish the makeup. But sometimes the process of Dave getting into full art to whatever scene, the blood content, depending on if it's an earlier scene or a later scene, how much blood's on Art the Clown, all that comes in. He's got a few, they got it all worked out. He got a few costumes and stuff, the really bloody ones, the not so bloody one. And just to watch that, sometimes 8, 9 hours before he's like ready to rock and roll because he's shooting scenes in between. So it's wild. So I didn't ever have to go through that. A few hours, 3, 4. First time was like 4 hours.
And you're involved with Terrifier 2. How much involvement did you have with that?
I'm sorry, you said I'm involved with Terrifier 2. What did you say after that?
I was just saying, how much involvement did you have with the movie?
Terrifier 2, not as much as I would have liked. I was on set. I helped them out with some stuff. I did some PA stuff for them, like just helping out with lighting and fog and angles and stuff when I was on set and stuff, just helping out. My daughter was a makeup artist, an assistant to Damien and them guys on set. She did a lot of the she worked on, it was cool. She did a lot of different makeup. She didn't do obviously art, but she did a lot of the glam makeup and the girls and stuff. And there was a few other girls that were makeup artists too, but my daughter was on there, which was pretty cool. And I without giving too much up, there's a scene with this guy right next to me. If you see this guy sitting next to me right here, this is Bones. When Terrifier 2 comes out, you will see this guy. This guy is in there's a party scene where they go to a party, and I play several different people at the party. So I got to see the finished cut. There's 3 or 4 of me so far that I know at the party because we were helping out. I kept putting on different masks, different outfits, but they focused in on a few of the characters that I went up there as. I was like 7 or 8 different people at the party. We'll see how many make the cut on the thing and stuff. But this guy, he's a central focal point. You'll see at the party he's sitting at the party, and after I had everybody sign it, so he's signed by the cast and the crew of Terrifier 2. You got like Damien and the girls and Dave and then the Levy boys and everybody, and like 3 or 4 of the other actors that are in it all signed it and stuff. So it's pretty cool. He's my Terrifier 2 memorabilia that I own.
Does he have a name?
I call him Bonesy. Bonesy the clown. He's not really a clown because of art,
Bonesy.
But Bonesy, yeah, my buddy, I grew up with a kid, Greg Jones, growing up, and his nickname was Bonesy, the Bones, and because it was Jones, Bones, and we all smoked weed. He was one of my big head friends growing up and stuff. So yeah, it's like Bonesy too. Because I come in, he sits here. He's been sitting here for a few months. So like I walk into the house and I'm always like, "Yo, Bonesy, what's going on, brother?" So he doesn't. The day he talks back, I might leave. So far, I've been lucky.
Craig, when I spoke to you earlier, before this interview, you had said that without giving too much away, you had mentioned that Damien Leone had outdone the Saul scene in Terrifier, the one where Art Saul's the woman from Taint to Head. You said that that Damien outdid that scene about 3 or 4 times in Terrifier 2.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen most of the movie now. Like it's pretty much done. I've seen well over an hour of it. Like when you hang out, like with friends. Like so, and he worked on the film that we're making Stream right now. He's our special effects guy. So we would sit around and he'd like just hand me the phone and be like, "Here, watch this." And I sit there and I'm watching 20, 25 minutes of Terrifier 2 at a clip. And there might have been little things still not in it, that the final finishing touches, but you didn't. I was like, "What the fuck?" He sat there one day watching me, like laughing. And then after he goes, "Oh, I should have recorded your response." He goes, "Because my mom had the same response." Because I was just like, oh my God. I can't even tell you anything else that I was saying because you just have to say it. But it was just incredible. It was incredible. And he was laughing his ass off because my reaction was so intense. And he's like, that was most people's reactions. Like, and that's just one of, like I said, I've seen a lot of the movie. I didn't see all of it, but I've seen big chunks of it throughout. And holy shit, yeah, there's 3 or 4 scenes I think that are gonna outdo that scene. It's definitely bigger, better, crazier. It looks fucking amazing. It looks amazing. So it's pretty cool. It's really pretty cool.
How long were you on the set for?
How long was I? I'm sorry. How long was I? What?
On the set of Terrifier 2 for?
I mean, I shot on there. I probably have a couple of weeks in between. A couple days here, a couple days there, a couple days here. I hung out a few times. I went in there again. Like I said, I was like doing PA work and stuff for them. Anything like we're hanging out on set. And like, oh, we need lights. Hey, like Craig, grab that light. So I'm I'm a street light going by in the scene, or something, smoke, waving this, wafting, or just chilling out behind, making jokes at everybody as they're filming. So, but I was on set for a couple of weeks in a few different locations, so it was pretty cool. And then we just actually, with Fuzz and the Lens, we just finished principal production of a film we're making called Stream, and it's incredible. And Damien's our special effects guy, and David is in it. David's one of our killers. I can tell you about some of the people. I can't tell you too much about that project either because it's still going on there. And Fuzz and the Lens now has a Patreon page, and they're doing an Indiegogo. So there's going to be big announcements that's coming soon. If you guys want to participate and donate to Stream a little bit, when the Indiegogo campaign, which is coming out in a week or two, I think, is released, and I can indulge about some of the amazing people in our film, and we have really good people. I mean, I could talk about a few people that were announced already. Like Tim Reed is in the film. He's in the original It. And obviously for the older people, he's WKRP in Cincinnati. He was Venus Flytrap. He was Hyde's dad. For you burnouts, he was Hyde's dad on that '70s show, and he was on that show Sister Sister for like 10 years on Disney, the dad. And other projects, but we have him. We have Terry Alexander from Day of the Dead. He's awesome. We have Daniel Harris. I think we announced Daniel Harrison. If we didn't, don't air this. You know what? By the time this airs, I think the Patreon, the Indiegogo will be up, so I won't get in too much trouble. But I know you guys are familiar, and hopefully your people are too. Daniel Harris was Halloween 4 and 5, and Bruce Willis's daughter in The Last Boy Scout, and she was on Roseanne, and she was in the new Halloween movies, and just tons of stuff. She's in our film. She's a pretty big part, and we have I believe I can announce. Yeah. No, I know you guys. Jeffrey Combs, Reanimator. Like we have cool people, man, in our film, and there's a few more that I can't announce that we have big, cool people. But they again they have to wait for the Indiegogo thing to come out. But it's like I said, by the time this airs, it may be out. But I don't want to get in trouble for talking too much. So, but it's an incredible movie. It's going to be amazing. You can look it up on IMDb. It'll give you the synopsis of the storyline of what it is, and you'll see some of the other actors that are in it that were announced. It's just it looks amazing. I think it's going to be equal to the original Saw as far as amazing acting. The actors are badass. I was so proud and impressed because I'm producing this with them, so I was so proud of like the caliber of actors we got, and for the money we had and everything, and just watching it unfold, and then watch Damien, man, he like outdid himself with the special effects and the prosthetics and everything. I'm like, oh my God, it just looks incredible. So like the first Saw, we have amazing actors. We have the quality of the film. It was all shot in red and everything. It's just amazing. It looks amazing. And the gore. Damien Leone, man, is our special effects guy. The gore is gonna be intense. It's gonna be pretty friggin' intense. So I'm looking forward to it. So
Now, do you enjoy doing movies more, doing your stand-up, or monster hunting? Or I'm sorry, ghost hunting.
what did you say? What do I like the most out of movies, comedy, and ghost hunting?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love them all. Movies will pay the most if they, like what. But here it's a whole. It all one works with the other. So movies are great to make. To be on set is just incredible. It's so much fun. You're hanging out, and if you're not actually working on it, and you're just an actor, you do nothing but when you have to go, and then you sit around and eat, and you hang out, and you bullshit, you memorize your lines, you do whatever you got to do. If you're working on a set, you're moving. If you're a PA or something, or you're doing something, you're running around. That's like bottom of the barrel. You're doing all the running, picking shit up, going to get stuff, gophering, doing all that. So that maybe isn't as pleasurable, but I do that for fun because I'm on set, like I'm there. Might as well help out, I want to do things. So, but acting is great. I love comedy's my first love. So I'll never want to give up stand up, not for a while anyway. I'm doing it 21 years. I'm not looking to give it up for at least another 20 years. I don't know. I just love doing it. Like I said, it's the most incredible drug ever. So I don't think I can ever totally give up that euphoric feeling, like much like heroin, I guess. But the ghost, like I said, we were trying to sell the show. Any one of these things will catapult the other. If I start getting a little bit of a name for myself with the films, it'll catapult me with stand up, and I'll go out and I'll tour more of the country because they'll know who I am. And if I get the TV show with the ghosts, again they'll know who I am. That's actually the most dangerous of the jobs. It really is. Like, it sounds silly if you're a skeptic, you don't believe it, but if you believe it, you can bring shit home with you. Like I said, I so far everything that's come home with me, I'm familiar with, so it's not so bad. But there'll be times, I'm sure, in my fiascos that I'm going to bring something not so good home. I hope not. I always try to. I wear things. They anoint us with like angel oil, and we say prayers and stuff. I take it very seriously. I carry various rocks and stuff, and wear jewelry and stuff to try to protect me a little bit, and because we really do dive into. It's real. Like again, you have to experience it, but it's real. I have it. Go check out the RTG Paranormal page. You'll see that mansion. You'll see there's some videos with the orbs coming up. There's video with growls, but I put some of the videos up with the I talked to a Marine named Vic through the SB7 Spirit Box. Have a minute and a half intelligent conversation, and I ask him. I get his name is Vic. That's why I know. And we're in a Marine dental. We're in a naval and Marine hospital, abandoned naval and Marine hospital, but which they also filmed some the first Terrifier out and stuff and all that. So I was up there, and it was where we were was a dental clinic for the Marine Corps. So I was like, "Who's here?" You can watch the video, and it goes, "Vic." You hear it clear as day. And I ask a few more questions. I go, "Vic, were you a Marine?" And then he goes, "Ooh, oorah." He gives me a fucking oorah. I got a spirit giving me an oorah. Like that's. When did you ever see that on TV? Did you ever hear an oorah on TV? Like never. And then I tell him I was in the Navy, so I tell him and I was amphibious assault, which means I was attached to the Marines. So I tell him I was in the Navy. I tell him that I was just chauffeur for younger people. I was their Uber. I picked you up and dropped you off, and he says thank you. Fucking badass. You can watch it all. Go to my Instagram page. That my Instagram page is Craig Loydgren or comedian Craig L. And then that RTG Roast the Ghost is paranormal is that page. Go check it out, man. Follow us. I'll be putting more content and stuff up on it. I got to edit it. That's one of my I falter, and I have a ton of shit. I have to actually edit it and put the words where they belong and all. And that's to me is not so easy.
What is the craziest experience you've had ghost hunting?
Hold on, before I say, I just want to say that Drew looks like the 70-year-old guy in the audience that needs to take a nap as I'm telling a joke. You're like, you're ready for Bob for apples, my friend. What did you guys smoke? What were you smoking before? What was your brand tonight?
Whatever the guy gave me. I don't ever ask.
What'd you say? What was it?
I don't ever ask. I just get handed a bag.
Oh, that's it. You don't want to know the names? Please don't give me a name. Well, whatever it was good. He looks like he enjoyed himself. But yeah, so you asked what was the worst experience I had? I was trying to show my buddy that again this mansion when I first started working at the mansion. I was trying to show my buddy on FaceTime the mansion because we grew up in the town where it's at. And he's like, "Yo, I never been closer than the front porch." Like we used to dare each other to go up to the front porch and stuff. Who can get closer to the mansion? Because it was always a spooky place. It was built in 1885. It's right around in the neighborhood where I grew up. So it's just been here a lot longer than we have. So he's like, bring me around. So I went into the house trying to show him around, and I started getting some heavy weight on my chest, and I was having some issues breathing. I was getting restricted. And then I went up to the second floor, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, I usually give you the whole speech of who was here and what happened and who died, and because I know a lot of the history. So I give you a whole little history lesson as we go room to room, and I couldn't do it. Like I was like, man, that weight's getting so heavy. So then we go up to the third floor. I got up to the third floor. It got so heavy. I felt like I was under 150 foot of water. I could barely breathe. I was like, dude, I gotta go. And then I apologized to the spirits. I was like, I'm sorry. I'll leave you alone. I'm sorry. And I went outside. We were actually building. It was the first year we did the haunt. I was outside building. I was making a well for the ring. We had a whole ring scene, which was really awesome. But I was building the well because there was a lot of bricks on the property, and there was an old well that was there that they cut off at the ground. So I was just placing the bricks around it. And I put light and smoke machines in it and shit to make it look awesome. And then we built a TV set and had the picture of the girl from the ring all sliced, and the actual act and strobe lights, and the actress would kind of crawl through the fucking TV screen and come out through the strobe lights and attack the hayride. It was fucking awesome. It was a really good. It fucked people up. But as I was building that, I couldn't breathe. And I was like, I'm sorry. I went outside. My anxiety, I went outside back to that where I was building at. My anxiety was so bad. I didn't know if I should go home. I didn't know if I could sit, stand, do whatever. I just kind of wrote it out, but I was having a hard time breathing. It took about a half hour to calm down. And then my old man came up to the house, and he's like, show me around, boy. Like the first time he came, I was like, Dad, I just had a bad experience. And my father's a skeptic. He's like, bullshit. Come on, let's go see the house. So we went in the house. We went all the way up to the third floor. Nothing. Everything was fine. But an hour earlier, because it took me about a half hour to calm down, an hour earlier, they got so heavy. I never felt nothing like it in my life. And that was the first time I was really like, wow, they can really touch you. Like they can really, they wanted me out. And it's a big MO in there. A lot of people have experienced that same feeling with the tightness of the chest to the point of not being able to breathe. My daughter helped me with everything. She's makeup, so she's my makeup girl for the haunt. She was makeup for the movies. She was sitting on the back. They killed somebody. There was a mob hit in 2005 on the property. They killed the guy and they drowned him, and then they cut him up into pieces and burned him in the old 100-year-old furnace in the basement because they knew it was coming out. And then they found him because they left the furnace there. They moved it to the side. It was like 2,000 pounds. Someone told on the guy like 2 years later. They went down there. They found his jawbone and teeth. So they caught everybody that did the killing and stuff. But he was drowned the way they killed him. They stabbed him and they went out. There's a wishing well outside. And they held him. He fell by the wishing well and they held him underwater until he drowned. And then they cut him into pieces. And horrible, horrible murder. My daughter was on the back porch and she went to lean back. And when she went to lean back, her voice, you even heard it in her voice. She was talking and it sounded like she had water. She was like, "Argh," and she sat up quick, choking. I was like, and I call her Peanut. Her name's Brianna. I'm like, Peanut, what's the matter? She goes, oh my God. I felt like I was just drowning. Like I had water in my throat. And I was like, oh my God, you sounded like she sounded gargly, like she had water. It was crazy, crazy thing. So that's just a couple of wild things. But I know a lot of people who had issues. They came home to my house. I had to like talk to them and then ask them to leave. I've opened the front door and said, please, because the shadows, I just can't turn my head. And I see it and I see it. And sometimes it doesn't bother me. And sometimes, like if I'm by myself, it bothers me. So not that it bothers me, but it gets a little nerve wracking, So I have to sternly threaten them with sage. I'm big on that. Like I have sage that I've yet to light. I'm like, you don't want me to light this because then you won't be able to come back for a while. If I walk around and start praying, you'll be kicked out. So why don't you just go back now? And I open the front door. And a lot of times I feel the air lighten up, man. It's crazy. But again, if you don't mess with the stuff, you don't believe. So anybody who's watching is like, bullshit, hey, no problem. You're allowed your opinion. This is still America.
Well, I definitely believe. I have a story of that's some crazy shit that happened when I was living at my parents' house when I was younger, and I used to see shit in that house all the time. Like my sister swore that my mom was in the bathroom humming with the light on at like 3 a.m, and like after nearly pissing herself from waiting, she gets mad and like opens the door and nobody's in there. All sorts of weird stuff happening. But the thing that like really profoundly happened to me, the thing that I can't explain. You can say you believe in ghosts or you don't. I don't care. I do not know how to explain this other than there was something going on. Like I just felt chills when this happened. I had an alarm clock that was an old alarm clock that was my father gave it to me, and the button on it to turn it on and off, like the alarm, the radio. I'm sorry, it's from AM to FM. It was like jammed, and I would have to use a butter knife to like push the button over. Well, me and my sister are playing PlayStation in my bedroom. Like I was way younger, and the radio was way across the room from us, and we're playing a PlayStation, and out of nowhere, like I heard a click, like you heard the, and like we both like goosebumps immediately because we knew what the noise was, and we turned our heads and looked, and damn, if the radio didn't start playing, nobody was near it, and how the hell did the button get turned? You can say what you want about believing ghosts or not, but like that is why I will always be skeptic on whether or not they do exist. I'm not going to say they don't, but I can't explain that. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that they don't exist, but I'm not going to say that they do. I'm definitely open to, I'm open to whatever. I would love to do a ghost hunt. I'm sure John would too. We would love to, tour with you and do something, and John's not a believer at all, so maybe you can make a believer out of him.
Why don't you guys find the place down there and we'll come to you. We'll come down there. So we could spread our wings too, get out. Go do another place. Find somewhere local down there, and we'll do some research on it.
I mean, that sounds
we'll
amazing.
See it. We'll call the places.
Let's do it.
See, you find them. Do you have a place down there that everybody talks about that's super haunted? Abandoned locations, or we can either go into an abandoned place, or if it's some other. I'm sorry.
Yep, Fort Delaware.
Fort Delaware. Oh yeah, Revolutionary War.
It was a Civil War prison.
Oh, Civil War. Oh yeah, Civil War prison. Absolutely. Do you know how haunted that would be? I think like Ghost Adventures went there one time, didn't they?
I think they might have.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Now that you're saying it. But yeah, no. So if is that a national park?
It's not a national park, but I think you would have to get permission because it's like a state park.
Right. So we'll have to see. And if we can't do that, we'll find another place right around there. Because if that was, the whole Civil War thing, there's got to be other locations where that stuff like that happened. That's we do. I went down to Gettysburg a couple of times. I went ghost hunting on set where we filmed Stream with Danielle Harris. She went live on Instagram one night. It was awesome. We went out ghost hunting and we talked to some spirits that night. We got names, Rob and Neil, and hey, there's Neil again. But we got like Rob and Neil's a little inside joke. We had some lady was calling me Neil before she thought my name was Neil. But but yeah, the one guy was a Union soldier. Like we got a whole bunch of information. He was a Union soldier, died during the war, didn't know the war was over. I told him you won, like we won. You didn't die in vain and stuff. Like I don't know if it worked, but we got a whole bunch of information down there. It was pretty fun. We had a good time. So Civil War stuff is super active. I mean, everything's super active. There's billions and billions of people that are on this planet right now. Almost 8 billion people. That many probably already have died. I mean, where are they all going? If you believe in heaven or hell, I don't think the place is that big. And hey, if you watch Dawn of the Dead, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth, right? That's Mokumba, right? So, you know about voodoo? But yeah, but that's who knows. But yeah, if you guys want to set something up, we'll do it, man.
That sounds amazing. And what are the best places for people to find you on social media? And what events do you have coming up?
I have my website, CraigLoydgren.com. Hopefully at some point the name will be somewhere right down here. You'll put like Craig Loydgren up there or whatever. It's CraigLoydgren.com. It's I don't really do Twitter anymore. I love Instagram. I'm comedian Craig L. Or my name. You put my name in, Craig Loydgren. Facebook. I have a group page and a fan page, and then I have Instagram, comedian Craig L. and the Roast to Ghost RTG paranormal page. So you can just find me on all that stuff. And again, you want to go and find out information on me, you go to my website. I do have dates that have to go up. We weren't putting many dates up on the website because of the corona, but things are lifting, things are going. I do have August. I'm upstate New York. I'm in Florida, New York, August 6th. It's not announced yet, but we are in the process right now of putting together. So by the time this airs, it will be announced. A pretty cool comedy event on Staten Island at the Mansion. We're going to have a couple of big name guests, and we're going to set up for 1,000, 1,200 seats. We're going to do a festival, like a one-day festival. It's not officially named yet, so I can't give the official name. And I can't announce. I'm talking to some comics now, some bigger names, to their managers and stuff. So we can't announce everything yet, but by the time this airs, you go to my website. All the information should be up there. It's going to be an awesome event at the Haunted House at the Kreischer Mansion. Huge, big 5-hour event, comedy event with some pretty stellar folks on board. So look for that. And then if people listen in Florida, I'm going to be down in Florida in September. So everything will be on my website. Go to CraigLoydgren.com. You can find all YouTube.
The last question is, who are your comedy idols, past or present?
Dude, comedy idols. I always give this 5. I wanted to be a comic since I'm 8 years old. If you watch my special, Married and Miserable, it's on Amazon. Cheap plug, Amazon Prime. Check it out, Married and Miserable. The opening scene I do in that is like a little precursor of me. I wanted to be a comic since I was 8 years old. So the opening scene before the comedy is the 8-year-old me telling the class he wants to be a comic when he grows up. And that's the truth. I wanted to be a comic since I was 8 years old. I seen Robin Williams on Happy Days. It was even before Mork and Mindy, but he was playing the Mork character. And like I fell in love. I became obsessed. And then like a year later, not even, he had his own show, Mork and Mindy. So here I am, this little like 9-year-old kid now running around doing like shows about fly, be free, no. I was doing all this like Robin Williams, Mork and Mindy shit, man. And I was just loving them. And that was my first introduction to comedy in the comedy world. But my guys, the order I give, they all are equal to me for different reasons, is the order they were introduced to me in my life. And it's Robin Williams, Howie Mandel, a young Howie Mandel, he was insane. Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison, and Bob Nelson. Those 5 guys you could see a little bit of everybody when I'm on stage come out, but you see a lot of Kinison, a lot of Robin Williams. Like those are the heavier influences. But sometimes I'll make faces, a little noises, or gestures, and I just know, like in my head, I even hear it sometimes. I'm like, Like that was like a little Murphy, like that was a little Bob Nelson, and I'll reference it if I hear it. I'll even say it like to the crowd and stuff. It's cool because it comes out.
Well, we definitely appreciate having you on the show today. And we definitely look forward to hopefully doing some ghost hunting with you in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next time we do this, that we have no technical issues and we can hear you and I can see you, and I don't have to keep watching Drew close his eyes and then he freezes like that. So I don't know if he's actually watching you or if he's sleeping. He's frozen. What did you call me? No, don't use terrible words like that around me, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me on. It was awesome. I had a good time with you. We got over our humps, and you just have a lot of work to do in the old editing process, but that's all right. and we'll get together. Look forward for Terrifier 2 is going to be amazing when they do that. Just let you know, Terrifier 2 is going to be almost 2 hours long. It's going to be like one of the longest horror movies ever and worth every minute. Remember that when you see it. Terrifier 2 is going to be incredible. Look for our upcoming film Stream, like streaming the internet. I know when I say that, sometimes people are like, what did you just say? Scream? No, with a T, Stream. You can check it out on IMDb, see who we announced so far. Not everybody's on there that we announced. And look forward to that, man, at the end of this year, the early next year. I'm hoping we can go to theaters with that. It's an incredible movie. And then watch me if you guys want to go and watch me on Amazon Prime, Married and Miserable. On Amazon is my my special, my stand-up special. Go check that out. If you don't like it, if you like it, give me a fucking 5-star rating. If you don't like it, don't give me a rating. Just go turn, but don't turn it off. I get paid like 6 cents a view, so leave it on. You go do the dishes, go make a sandwich, leave it on for the dog, leave it on for the cat. Just leave it on. It's 6 lousy cents. So but yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Go check that out. I know you guys. I think I got 12 cents from you guys.
Definitely, it was great.
No, I appreciate it, man. I love what I do, and I hope that your people love what I do too, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. Call me, Drew. I feel like call me. No, but call me, and we'll go ghost hunting, brother. We'll talk about it again soon.
Absolutely, man. We'll be in touch, Craig. Thank you.
All right. Later, fellas. Peace. See ya.
Later.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there. Craig's just such a fun guy to talk to, and I cannot wait to go roast a ghost this fall. Just like Fuzz on the Lens and David Howard Thornton, he has a super fucking stoked for Terrifier 2. Tune in next week when we speak with Special Officer Doofy, David Sheridan. We'll talk Scary Movie and Victor Crowley. We'd like to give a special shout out to Josh Hensley. We had a lot of technical difficulties on this interview, and he was able to salvage it for us. And that'll about wrap her up this week. Make sure to follow us online on Instagram and Facebook at HighOnHorror420 and on Twitter at High_horror. You can also email us at HighOnHorror420 @gmail.com. Catch yous later.
Bye, guys.